the land of corruption and the world's most beautiful women. Life in Brazil. Imagine a country where natural beauty is so stunning it feels like a dream, yet corruption is so deeply rooted it has become part of daily life. This is Brazil, a land of extremes, where some of the world's most beautiful women live alongside a reality of inequality and social challenges. Brazil is famous for its paradise-like beaches, vibrant culture, and a people who can turn any occasion into a celebration. But behind the colors of carnival and the rhythms of samba lies a nation struggling to overcome deep issues, like systemic corruption that has toppled presidents and shaken the economy. At the same time, it's a place where the resilient spirit of its people shines. It's impossible not to be charmed by the Brazilian optimism that finds beauty even in adversity. So, what truly defines Brazil? Is it the power of its nature, the joy of its people, or the scandals that dominate the headlines? Stay with me and discover the many faces of the South American giant. Brazil is simply immense. With 8.5 million square kilometers, it is the largest country in South America and the fifth largest in the world, surpassed only by Russia, Canada, China, and the United States. Occupying nearly half of South America, Brazil shares borders with no fewer than 10 countries, a continental record. Its vast territory hosts one of the greatest geographic diversities on the planet. To the north lies the Amazon, the largest tropical rainforest in the world and one of the planet's lungs. The Amazon basin is not only a natural marvel, but also one of the most vital river systems on Earth, with waterways so wide they resemble seas. At the center of the country is the Cerrado, a savanna rich in biodiversity, often called the cradle of waters for being the source of numerous river basins. In the south, you'll find the Pampas with their open fields and the Atlantic forest, one of the planet's most endangered ecosystems. The climate is equally diverse, with predominantly warm temperatures. Brazil is crossed by the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn, resulting in climates that range from humid equatorial in the Amazon to cooler subtropical conditions in the south. And let's not forget Brazil's coastline. Stretching 7,491 kilometers, it is the 16th longest in the world. The breathtaking beaches, such as those in Fernando de Noronha, Jericoacoara, and Copacabana, are some of the country's most iconic landmarks. Geopolitically, Brazil is a regional powerhouse and holds significant influence in Latin America. However, internally, managing such an extensive and diverse territory is a constant challenge, reflected in the stark regional inequalities. Brazil is a country of continental proportions and astonishing natural wealth. But is all this grandeur being utilized in a fair and sustainable way? Let's delve deeper into the next topics to find out. Brazil's history is as grand as its territory. It all began thousands of years ago, when indigenous peoples inhabited these lands, developing rich and diverse cultures. Everything changed in 1500, when the Portuguese, led by Pedro Álvares Cabral, arrived. Brazil became a colony exploited for its natural resources, such as Brazilwood and later sugar, which turned the Northeast into an economic powerhouse in the 16th century. During more than 300 years of colonization, Brazil was a stage for conflicts, indigenous resistance, and the harsh reality of slavery. Around 5 million enslaved Africans were brought to the country, leaving a profound mark on Brazilian culture and society. The 19th century brought radical changes. In 1808, the Portuguese royal family fled the Napoleonic Wars and settled in Rio de Janeiro, turning the colony into the seat of the empire. Just a few years later, in 1822, Brazil declared its independence under the leadership of Dom Pedro I, becoming an empire separate from Portugal. The empire faced periods of instability, but also experienced prosperity in sectors like coffee production. However, the abolition of slavery in 1888 triggered an economic and social crisis that culminated in the proclamation of the Republic in 1889, ending the monarchy. The 20th century was marked by rapid transformations, including the Vargas era, which introduced modernization and labor laws, and the military coup of 1964, which established a dictatorship that lasted over 2 decades. The return to democracy in 1985 was a pivotal moment, but challenges persisted. Today, Brazil is a young democracy, constantly battling corruption and social inequality. At the same time, it is a cultural and economic powerhouse, celebrated for its contributions to music, soccer, and the arts. Brazilian history is a story of resistance, resilience, and a people who continuously strive for a better future, even in the face of adversity. Brazil is a true paradise for travelers, offering attractions that range from lush forests to vibrant cities. Let's start with the jewel of nature, the Amazon, the largest tropical rainforest in the world. Taking a boat ride through its rivers, spotting pink river dolphins, and immersing yourself in the culture of the riverside communities is an experience unlike any other. The best time to visit the Amazon is between June and November, when the rains are less intense, allowing for better exploration of the rivers and trails. How about the Pantanal? This is the largest wetland biome on the planet, and a haven for wildlife enthusiasts. Here, you can spot caimans, hyacinth macaws, jaguars, and an astonishing array of biodiversity. For the best experience, visit between May and September during the dry season, when animals are more visible. Now, let's head to the coast. Brazil boasts some of the world's most famous beaches, like Copacabana and Ipanema in Rio de Janeiro, as well as more secluded and idyllic spots like Fernando de Noronha and Jericoacoara. If you love sun and warmth, the best time to visit the coast is during summer, from December to March. However, keep in mind this is also the busiest period, especially during New Year's and Carnival. Speaking of Carnival, this event transforms the entire country. Whether at Rio de Janeiro Sambadrome with its grand parades, in the streets of Salvador with electrifying axe music, or in Olinda with street parties and giant puppets, Brazilian Carnival is a celebration you must experience at least once in your life. It usually takes place in February or March, depending on the calendar. Brazilian cities offer much more beyond Carnival. Rio de Janeiro, with Christ the Redeemer and Sugarloaf Mountain, is a living postcard and ideal for those seeking a blend of nature and urban life. Sao Paulo, the largest metropolis in Latin America, is Brazil's cultural hub, featuring museums, theaters, and a culinary scene that mixes flavors from around the world. For a journey back in time, Salvador and its historic Pelourinho district are must-see destinations, brimming with Afro-Brazilian culture and a unique energy. We can't forget regional festivities like São João, celebrated with lively forró music and traditional foods in the Northeast, particularly in cities like Caruru and Campina Grande. Held in June, it's a fantastic opportunity to experience Brazilian traditions firsthand. Here are some practical tips. Brazil is a continental-sized country, so plan your trip carefully to avoid unnecessary travel. In summer, prices tend to be higher, so if you're looking to save money, consider traveling between April and November outside the peak season. Additionally, in major cities like Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, be mindful of safety and avoid displaying valuables. Tourism in Brazil is an intense experience, full of contrasts and wonders. From its natural splendor to the most vibrant parties on the planet, Brazil knows how to captivate any visitor with its diversity, warmth, and unforgettable landscapes. Brazil's economy is as diverse as its territory. As the world's 9th largest economy by GDP, Brazil has a foundation that spans agriculture to technology, but faces challenges that mirror the complexity of the country. One of the pillars of Brazil's economy is agribusiness. Brazil is the world's largest exporter of products, such as soybeans, coffee, beef, and orange juice. Its vast, fertile lands allow for large-scale production, supplying markets in China, Europe, and the United States. The agricultural sector is so significant that it accounts for roughly 30% of Brazil's exports. In addition, Brazil is rich in natural resources. The extractive industries, including oil, natural gas, and iron ore, are another economic driver. The country boasts enormous reserves, particularly in the pre-salt layer, placing it among the world's top oil producers. However, the industrial and services sectors also play crucial roles. Brazil is a leader in aviation with Embraer and in the automotive industry. It also has a growing technology and startup ecosystem. On the other hand, social inequality remains one of Brazil's greatest economic challenges. Despite the minimum wage in 2025 being around 1,320 Brazilian reals, approximately $250, many families struggle to cover basic expenses. In cities like Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, renting a one-bedroom apartment in central areas can range from 2,000 Brazilian reals to 4,000 Brazilian reals, $380 to $760, while monthly grocery costs for a family can average between 800 Brazilian reals and 1,200 Brazilian reals, $150 to $230. Brazil also grapples with corruption, which affects the business environment and public trust in governance. High-profile cases like Operation Car Wash, Operação Lava Jato, revealed billion-dollar schemes involving state-owned companies and politicians, negatively impacting the economy. Despite these challenges, Brazil has a young population and a rich cultural diversity that represent enormous potential for the future. Brazilian creativity is evident in sectors like fashion, entertainment, and gastronomy, which are gaining increasing international recognition. With its wealth of resources and a vast domestic market, Brazil remains a regional powerhouse with the potential for even greater growth. However, achieving this requires investments in education, infrastructure, and public policies to combat inequality and corruption. Brazil is globally renowned for its vibrant culture, which permeates every aspect of life. Brazilian music is a cultural treasure. From samba to funk, sertanejo to bossa nova, the rhythms tell stories of joy, struggle, and resilience. Popular celebrations like Carnival and São João embody the Brazilian spirit, blending religiosity, tradition, and pure fun. Cuisine is another reflection of this diversity. From north to south, dishes like feijoada, acreage, maquica, barbecue, and tapioca showcase the indigenous, African, and European influences that have shaped the national palate. And of course, there's the famous Jeitinho Brasileiro, a term that captures the creativity and adaptability of the people in overcoming challenges, though it also has its controversial side. However, Brazil is not just a land of festivities and beauty. It also faces deep-seated problems that affect millions of lives. One of the biggest challenges is systemic corruption, which has drained public resources for decades and hindered progress in essential areas like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Scandals such as those revealed by Operation Car Wash, Operação Lava Jato, exposed billion-dollar schemes that shook state-owned companies and eroded trust in politics. Urban violence is another pressing issue. Brazil has one of the highest homicide rates in the world, particularly in marginalized areas. While safety is a constant concern, it's important to remember that realities vary widely across regions. Social and racial inequalities are also central issues. Despite being one of the most racially mixed nations in the world, Brazil still bears the scars of centuries of slavery. The fight for equal rights and the recognition of Afro-Brazilian cultural contributions remain daily battles for many communities. Then there are the environmental challenges. Deforestation in the Amazon has placed Brazil at the center of global debates on sustainability. While the rainforest is an invaluable resource, the expansion of agriculture and mining threatens its preservation, creating conflicts between economic interests and the need to protect the environment. Despite these challenges, Brazil is a country where optimism endures. The creativity of its people, the richness of its culture, and the diversity of its population are sources of hope for a better future. Brazilian youth, increasingly connected to the world and full of ideas, are becoming more engaged in transforming the country and seeking solutions to its problems. Brazil is a fascinating paradox. While it grapples with enormous challenges, it enchants the world with its unique energy and resilient spirit. Brazil is a land of contrast that captivates the world. It's a place where breathtaking natural landscapes coexist with vibrant cities, and where the creativity and joy of its people shine even in the face of challenges. Yes, the country faces significant issues such as corruption, inequality, and deforestation. Yet, at the same time, Brazil is a cultural powerhouse and a testament to resilience. The strength of its people, the richness of its biodiversity, and the contagious energy of its culture are proof that the future holds promise. Behind the scandals and headlines lies a Brazil that dreams, creates, and transforms. A Brazil that believes in a better tomorrow and fights to build a fairer, more sustainable, and united country. The South American giant may stumble, but it never fails to enchant the world with its beauty, culture, and ability to overcome adversity. Because at its core, that's what Brazil is, a country that never gives up.